Hello, and welcome to our final video of our series on music education for middle schoolers. Today we're going to be finishing up the very end of the Georgia Standards by talking about connecting music to history and culture. And we're going to start with the 6th grade. So, in the 6th grade, students are expected to be able to connect music to history and culture in these particular ways. They're supposed to be able to identify distinguishing characteristics of representative music genres and styles from a variety of cultures. So, this can look like a lot of different things. Students need to be able to distinguish stylistic things, instrumental things, languages. Representative music genres and styles is referring to, obviously, you're not going to be able to teach every 6th grader every culture in the world because they're countless. So representative just needs to have an accurate and somewhat fair representation of kind of the genres of cultures around the world. We want to make sure that everyone has a little bit of a voice, even if it's kind of a general area that's represented by one particular culture. And that is really important because just like earlier when we talked about diverse genres and cultures, students need to be able to understand other humans. They need to be able to empathize, learn from other cultures, get outside of their own neighborhoods. Middle school is a really key time for this. If students miss out on this in middle school, high school can be brutal. And so we want to equip them to treat one another kindly in high school and beyond. The following category is to classify exemplary musical works by genre and style and recognize their identifying characteristics. So, I did this in college. This is simply the act of hearing music from a particular time, maybe a Baroque piece, and being able to tell me or write on a piece of paper and turn into me what makes it Baroque. What characteristics in the Baroque time caused it to be different than the other time periods around it. So, if a student hears harpsichord and some strings, that might be a clue to them that they're listening to some Baroque music, and they could write that on a piece of paper and turn it into me, and I would assess that they are remembering at least some of the key characteristics of the Baroque time period. And so on. So that would be true of each genre or style, and the teacher, I would probably want to play well-known works, not completely hidden works that no one knows. So I might want to play some Vivaldi for them so that they have a sense of what well-known works sound like from those time periods. The following category is to compare music of 2 or more world cultures, identifying function and role of the music, their musicians, and their respective performance conditions. So, I would want my students to be able to give me an example of maybe some music from old times in France, right? Maybe medieval music in France. I'd want them to be able to hear that, identify it, and then explain to me that that music is different from ancient music in India because there would be multiple specifics, right? There would be different numbers of musicians present for those sorts of performances. There would be a different function and role of the music, although it might be similar. Perhaps both would be used in a worship setting. The religion would definitely be different in a cathedral in Paris and a worship setting in India. And so it's important that students know the function and role of the music. Why was the music created? What is it doing for the audience, for the performer? And then their respective performance conditions is important as well. So in a cathedral in France, the acoustics of the room would have been a big part of how and why that music was created to sound like that. And in India, Their native instruments were created to perform in the settings where they performed them. So that affects the acoustics of the instrument or the singer, and students should be able to identify that as well. So that's just an example, but your students should be capable of that by 6th grade. And finally, they should be able to demonstrate performance etiquette. So this is stage presence, attire, behavior. This is something that probably should be practiced in the classroom at least a few times before actually performing. Students should know to sit still when they're on stage, not do anything distracting. They should know what they need to be wearing, and that may differ based on your school's uniform for performances or understanding of performance, but what's important is that students are wearing what they have been told to wear and are behaving in a professional way to practice being a musician properly. These standards are repeated for 7th and 8th grade, meaning that the teacher needs to add more. Each following year after the students go through 6th grade, these concepts should be built upon. So as you're working through different cultures, add cultures. Each unit should expose the student to new cultures, new languages, new experiences, new musical genres. Performance etiquette should probably be ramped up a little bit each time that they go through your class. They should have a growing respect for what it means to be a musical performer, so that if they enter high school and are wanting to pursue music, they're prepared to step into new environments, new schools, new expectations. And that is the end of our video series. Thank you so much for watching.